Good morning, everyone. My name is Judeline Pierre Saint, and today I'm bringing back a documentary for you guys. This documentary is going to be on a historical figure, and basically, you guys are going to see, what his life was about and what made him become a historical figure. But before I jump right into this documentary, I actually have a special guest out here today, and we're going to be doing a little performance before we show you the documentary. So stay tuned to see this documentary. Hello everyone, welcome back, and I'm just gonna get right into this because I told you guys I have a special guest coming out today to perform with me, and he's actually here right now. Scotty Free, come on down to the stage. Scotty Free.
Hello.
Scotty Free, everyone. So give him a little insight on what we're about to do.
So today I got a call from Judeline, and she told me she wanted to do a rap about George H.W. Bush. Well, I thought about it, and then I said, why not? Why can't it be done? So that's why we're here, to make it be done, and we're going to do this rap to perform for you guys today.
You think they're ready for it?
Are you ready? Only one way to find out. Yeah.
Keep on waiting. It's coming.
George H.W. Bush.
Hey. You better turn up your speakers. I'm about to talk about a leader. He's a historical figure. His name is George Bush Sr. You better turn up your speakers.
Turn it up.
I'm about to talk about a leader. He a historical figure. His name is George Bush Sr.
George H.W. Bush, that's his name. Our 41st president, he gave his life to the game. Not talking west side or east. He stayed persistent, he never gave up.
Okay.
That's why he was president, not by luck. We giving a story of George H.W. Bush. You better listen. You better not give up. He turned his dream into a real life story. George H.W. Bush, that's his name.
Okay.
Let him know.
Yeah. Okay. We about to talk about George W. Bush. I already let y'all know what it about to be. He a historical figure. We gonna see what it means to be a leader. Though he struggled, he kept on going. So pay attention to this documentary. Yeah.
Let's go.
Hey. Woo, everyone.
Hey, that was a blast.
I know you guys enjoyed that performance, especially from Scotty Free. Thank you for coming out once again. But like I said, we're going to go right into this documentary. So if you enjoyed this performance, stay tuned for this documentary because you're going to get much more out of it. Thank you once again, Scotty Free, for coming out, showing love. Everyone give a round of applause. Come on, that was great. Thank you.
I would just like to say thank you for having me on this show, this documentary. I would just like to say, for people watching this documentary, listen, don't give up. Your dreams could turn into reality. We all think just because it's hard, we can't keep going. But just because it's hard, don't mean we can't make it. The next step is a scary step, but it's a necessary step to you becoming great.
Thank you. Hey guys, I know you all enjoyed the performance Scotty Free and I did. And I know it made you guys laugh, have a good time. But let's not forget what this is about. It's about the documentary on George H.W. Bush. And without further ado, we're just going to get right into the video. George H.W. Bush was born on June 12, 1924 in Milton, Massachusetts. His parents are Prescott Bush and Dorothy Bush. Growing up, his father felt like the family needed to move, so he decided to move him out into another state, which was Connecticut, where he became a U.S. Senator. Bush's family was very wealthy, but that doesn't mean everything was given to them at hand. Bush's father always stressed how it was important to be modest and how it was important to give back to your community and do public services. Bush left home as a teenager to attend Phillips Academy, Andover, an exclusive boarding school in Massachusetts. At Andover, Bush became the captain of a baseball and soccer team, and he also was the senior class president. On Bush's 18th birthday, he graduated in 1942, and on that same day, he was accepted to be in the United States Navy. He served in the Navy during World War II from 1942 until September 1945, where he became a pilot in July 1943. And at that time, Bush was considered the youngest pilot in the Navy. On September 2, 1944, Bush was going on a mission to bomb an enemy radio site where his plane became to get shot down by Japanese fire, but he was later on rescued by a submarine. While still in the Navy, Bush married Barbara Pierce on January 6, 1945, and he met Barbara Pierce actually when he was 17 years old at a school dance. They went on to have 6 children, which was George Walker Bush, Robin Bush, who died of leukemia in 1953, John Ellis Bush, Neil Bush, Marvin Bush, and their last child, Dorothy Bush. Bush was discharged from the Navy in September 1945, and he kept the family tradition of going to Yale University. Bush completed an undergraduate degree in economics on an isolated program that allowed him to graduate by 1948. At Yale, Bush became very active and involved on campus, where he decided to play baseball and actually became the captain of the team. After graduation, Bush decided it was time for him to be on his own rather than stay in the Northeast. Bush moved his wife and young son, George Walker Bush at the time, to Midland, Texas, where he began working in the oil industry as a salesman for Dresser Industries, which was owned by an old family friend. In 1950, Bush and a friend formed an oil development company in Midland, where 3 years later they merged with another company to create petroleum. In 1954, Bush became president of an offshore company where they developed offshore drilling equipment. He soon relocated the company and his family to Houston, Texas. Like his father, Prescott Bush, who was elected a senator from Connecticut in 1952, Bush became interested in public services and politics. Coming from a family with a tradition in public service, Bush felt the responsibility to make his contribution both in time of war and in peace. He later on became the Republican Party chairman in Harris County, Texas. He developed connections as chairman and worked hard to strengthen his image as a conservative. Bush has always been good with people, and as a chairman, he was able to cultivate relationships in the Republican Party that helped him throughout his political career. In 1964, Bush decided to run for U.S. Senate against Ralph Yarborough. Bush ran a hard campaign but struggled against charges of being a carpetbagger from the North. A carpetbagger is a political candidate who seeks election in an area where they have no local connections. Because of this, Bush actually lost the election. In 1966, Bush decided to run for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives from Houston's 7th District. He won this election with more than 50% of vote. He was re-elected in 1968. After serving 2 terms in the House, Bush decided to run for Senate again in 1970, but lost against Lloyd Bentsen, who was a conservative Democrat. In December 1970, At the time, President Richard Nixon nominated Bush as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Critics opposed the nomination because they felt like Bush lacked foreign policy experience, but the Senate confirmed him. In 1973, President Nixon removed Bush from the United Nations and made him serve instead as a chairman of the Republican National Committee. The administration turned to Bush to head the Republican National Committee because of his reputation for respectability and integrity. There became a scandal that led to Nixon resigning from the presidency in August 1974. Bush stepped down as head of the RNC after Gerald Ford became president. The new president appointed Bush as the U.S. envoy to the People's Republic of China. 2 years later, Bush was asked to serve as the new director of the Central Intelligence Agency, which is considered the CIA. Bush became a popular director. After Jimmy Carter became president, Bush offers to stay on as director of the CIA, but Carter declined his offer, so Bush left Washington, D.C. and returned to Houston. On May 1st, 1979, Bush announced that he was running for president against Reagan, but he soon lost this campaign. Reagan decided to offer him to become vice president of the United States, and Bush accepted the offer. Bush worked hard to win the trust of Reagan's advisors in the administration by proving his loyalty and devotion to the president. Reagan loyalists were suspicious of Bush's New England upbringing and his upper-class background. They also felt like Bush was too moderate and not a true devote to Reagan's conservatism. But however, Reagan and Bush seemed to grow genuinely fond of each other during their 2 terms in office. As vice president, Bush traveled widely and frequently representing the administration in international affairs, making many contacts that would become useful when he became president. An early and leading candidate for the Republican Party's nomination for the presidency in 1988, Bush secured the nomination and together with his running mate Dan Quayle defeated the Democratic candidate. And in 1989, Bush became the 41st President of the United States.